Souza to Tottenham, here we go, states Italian journalist and transfer expert for Fabrizio Romero. He will have his medical at Hotspur Way on Sunday. The Daily Telegraph have just stated that Micky van der Ven is currently unhappy at Tottenham. Romero has been fined £50,000 and has just been given an additional one-match ban by the Football Association. He will miss the Aston Villa game on Saturday. ESPN in Brazil have just stated that Brazilian star Richarlison wants to leave Spurs in the summer after the World Cup. Richarlison actually replied to this post on Instagram and he said, "Who said that? F off." And the trust, the Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust, have stated there is a dramatic fall in ambition at Spurs. Hi everyone, hope you're well. Chris Cowlin here. This is another edition of Tottenham News where I'll be going through all of the latest Spurs news, rumours and reports. If you're watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you're listening to this on an audio platform, please do hit that follow button and leave a review if you can. Now I'm going to start with a here we go. It looks like on day 9 of the January transfer window, Spurs have their first January signing through the door. Fabrizio Romero stated, Souza to Tottenham, here we go, deal in place for €15 million fee as verbal agreement has now been reached. Travel scheduled on Sunday after deal agreed with agency and Santos accepting payment terms. Documents to be exchanged this weekend, then the deal will be sealed. Now reports in Brazil are stating Tottenham have sealed the signing of Souza and Santos will receive €15 million between fixed and variable payments. They are in the lawyer's phase. Contract for 5 seasons until June 2031. He is expected to travel to London between Sunday and Monday to undergo the medical examination and sign. And Sky Sports in England, on this story, they have just stated that Tottenham have agreed a £13 million fee for Santos left-back Souza and deal for 19-year-old who on radar for Ancelotti's Brazil squad at World Cup is close to being finalised and player has agreed in principle to the move. Now, reports in France are stating, as of now, Tottenham Hotspur do not like the idea of Mathys Tel leaving the football club on loan. Fabrizio Romero has stated on YouTube that West Ham United are interested in Tottenham Hotspur goalkeeper Antonín Kinský, and ESPN have stated that Richarlison wants to leave Tottenham after the World Cup this summer, and there is interest from Brazilian clubs, Turkish clubs, and clubs also in Saudi Arabia. Now, following those reports about Richarlison wanting to leave from ESPN in Brazil, he wrote the following on Instagram. Who said this? F off. Now, the Daily Telegraph have just reported that Micky van der Ven is believed to be frustrated by the current situation at the club. Tottenham are keen to offer Micky van der Ven a brand new contract, but sources close to the defender are stating that he is frustrated with the current situation. Sky Germany have just reported that Tottenham are one of the clubs monitoring Kevin Schade, of course star at Brentford. He could leave the G-Tech Community Stadium this coming summer. He is valued between 50 and 60 million euros. Captain Cristian Romero has just been given an additional one-match suspension and fined £50,000 for his behaviour during his side's defeat against Liverpool last month. Romero admitted to the Football Association charge of acting improperly by failing to leave the field of play promptly after he was sent off in the 93rd minute in the 2-1 defeat on the 20th of December. The Argentinian defender was shown a second yellow card for kicking out at Liverpool star Konate after being fouled. His first booking came in the 66th minute for dissent. Romero is also alleged to have behaved in a confrontational and or aggressive manner towards the referee. Following a hearing, an independent regularity commission has now imposed a one-match suspension and a £50,000 fine. He will miss the game in the FA Cup against Aston Villa at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium on Saturday evening. The Football Insider have just reported that Wolves could accept an offer of £40 million for Strand Larsen this month amid continued interest in his services from Tottenham. Strand Larsen has been unable to replicate his fine form at Wolves from last season in 25-26 with just 3 goals in 22 appearances so far. Now, due to bad weather, the under-18 game in the under-18 Premier League away to West Bromwich Albion on Saturday has been postponed. A new date for the game will be confirmed in due course. Jamie Carr's side will return to action at home to Aston Villa on Wednesday. Kick-off time at 12 noon, and that one will be live on Spurs Play. Now, it's 125 years since Spurs first won the FA Cup in 1901. Now, Tottenham Hotspur, the men's first team, will wear a special edition 1901 kit during the Aston Villa game on Saturday at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And Micky van der Ven has just been nominated for the EA Sports FC Team of the Year. The official Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust have just put out the following statement. Members of the THST board today on the 9th of January 2026 met with representatives of the club at a senior level to discuss supporter concerns regarding recent events and the current situation at the club. We stressed the need for the club leadership to communicate direct with fans on these issues. The Tottenham Hotspur Supporters Trust board has been engaged with the senior leadership of the football club throughout recent weeks and months and has repeatedly raised supporters' concerns with them. Whilst we acknowledge the changes in personnel behind the scenes at the club, this has regrettably not been matched with improvements on the pitch. There also appears to be a dramatic fall in ambition for the football club as evidenced by the transfer window to date and repeated statements by Thomas Frank reminding supporters that the club finished 17th in the Premier League last season, that the club is only participating in the Champions League through winning the Europa League, and Bournemouth, a side without a win in 11 games, are always a difficult team, and that he is not enjoying the job. Supporters have suffered the embarrassment of players directly confronting them for exercising their right to express themselves, of the club captain publicly calling out other people at the club who do not speak except to tell a few lies, and of the manager being photographed drinking from an Arsenal cup, apparently unaware that he was doing so. Whilst these incidents may have explanations that we could understand and even sympathise with, they demonstrate a lack of understanding and a lack of care about the perception of the football club. We believe the club leadership should address these issues publicly and through direct communication with fans. We stress that fans need to hear directly from the club leadership the ambition for the football club this season, for next season and the foreseeable future. That begins, but is certainly not restricted to, the coming transfer window, in which all the stops need to be pulled out in order to demonstrate that Tottenham Hotspur are a serious football club and that we really do want to win more often. Tottenham Hotspur defender Radu Drăgușin has had a lot of interest in his services during the January transfer window so far. Italian journalist and transfer expert Gianluca Damasio has just stated that Tottenham Hotspur have now received an offer from Italian side Roma. They want him on loan until the end of the season with an option to buy. And now for Thomas Frank's second embargoed press conference ahead of the Aston Villa game in the FA Cup on Saturday. Now, this was released on Friday evening at 10:30pm UK time. He talks about league position this season. He also states that we will be going full strength on Saturday against Aston Villa.
Can I just get the board comfortable?
The what, sorry?
The board.
Yeah.
Directors.
Yeah.
Are they comfortable with what Putin's message says? And have you had to sort of diplomat between them, or have they had to speak to him about what he says?
No, we handle it as, Jørgen and I had a conversation with Coachy and done.
But there's no one on the board worried about, because he's done something similar before about when he speaks about the board and talks about lies.
Yeah, I think Vina and Jørgen spoke together. Jørgen and I spoke to Coachy. Done.
May I go back to Kulishevsky
Yeah.
information that you gave us? So there had been some sort of significant setback, is that what you're telling us with this?
No, I just started to say it's a complicated injury where it's important to make sure there's no pain in the knee. That's why he got an injection, and that hopefully will help. So in 3 to 4 weeks' time, he can be on the grass, pain-free.
When the sort of the pain is he training or just?
No, yeah, he was training and on the grass, yeah.
But there's still pain and discomfort.
He got the injection, and hopefully that will help. Yeah.
Because originally we were sort of talking December, weren't we? When you first arrived, you were looking at something.
Yeah, so it was not going forward as quick as we thought, but as we said, it's an injury that we haven't seen that much in football history.
And now there's 3 or 4 weeks before we
Yeah,
even sort of see how it.
Yeah, 3 to 4 weeks if he's pain free. Yeah.
And are you able to give us an idea of your thinking about who plays in this game? Is it a game where the FA Cup?
No, yeah.
Is it a game where you want to play somebody
Full strength. Full strength. Yeah, all in. Yeah. Because we want to win it. Both the game and the tournament is possible, but it's one game at a time. We're facing a very good Villa team. We know that, but we'll go all in to try to win that game. Tom.
Christian's post talks about the need to have someone else speaking to the media, presumably. You were saying the other day what a great communicator Vina is. Could it be helpful if maybe he did a session with us or something?
Yeah, maybe. I think it's fair to say that England or UK is a very traditional country. We do things in a very traditional way here. And like I say, in a way because we've been here for 9 years, definitely experienced that. It's normal the head coach and manager who speaks up every single time, whereas it's a little bit more common in other countries that either the sports director or the CEO or whoever speaks up a bit more. So sometimes maybe just to have a different voice. So it's not only me. I'm very, very good at speaking. I'm very, very good at football. But there's a few other topics I need to answer when I'm sitting up here. So maybe, but it's fine. I think the most important thing is that we are aligned behind the scenes, which we are.
And you talk about the need to stay calm. There's obviously a lot of frustration, particularly aftermath of the game last night, where emotions are running high. Are you going to hold sort of clear air talks with your players to sort of reinforce that need for calm, whether it be Micky and the fans or Christian with his social media?
Yeah, of course. I mean, we spoke about this this morning, the meeting we had. Of course, it's a very emotional situation to be in after a late defeat, where you have the feeling that you've done everything right to earn something out of the match and potentially win it. I think we were closer to win it in the end of the game than they were, and then lose. And then when you felt you have done more in 5 games in a row, you haven't got it, and we are a little bit chasing everything and expectations that everything is just accumulating. And they're human beings. They get questioned every single time. That's why they're footballers. It's part of it, but that's not the same as easy. So I like to see some of the guys on social media or you guys experience that pressure out there. I don't think it's that easy.
Sure. You mentioned about Mo after the March international break is the hope. Just want to ask, given some of the situations we've had with injuries this season, are you fully expecting him to be fit for the World Cup, which obviously will be a lot later?
That I can't see why not, but we need to come back first in March and show that, but I can't see why he shouldn't.
And you mentioned Benton and Cowlin, sort of worryingly worse injury perhaps than hoped. I know you're not going to give much away regarding transfer plans, but does that mean that potentially central midfield is somewhere that you're going to have to look at this month?
We look in every positions. We also have a few away in African Cup of Nations, facing each other tomorrow, I think. But I think when you want to improve the squad, of course there's some positions that may be more obvious than others. But we are out there. If we can improve the squad, we should improve the squad.
And just lastly, I know it obviously didn't work out for Ange, lost a couple at the end last year, but we saw what how a difficult, bad season in the Premier League can be transformed by a cup run. How much is the FA Cup on your mind in some way to transform the narrative, to give fans a reason to believe this season?
Very aware, very, very aware that a cup run will be fantastic. FA Cup is the biggest cup tournament and the historical tournament, not only in UK and England but also in the world. So we will do everything we can to win that game tomorrow, and then progress to the next round, and then to install belief and everything. That's the only thing we're thinking about.
Tom. Thomas, have you spoken to the owners recently?
We contact on text or talk sometimes. Yeah.
No meeting.
No, that's a while ago. That's a couple of weeks ago, I think. Yeah.
And to Villa, do you speak to him every single day, or
every second day? Yeah.
And I mean, when someone like Romero's message, for example, cites the board and the leadership of the club, I mean, have you spoken to them about that? Is that kind of come up with that?
I think that's why we, on a day-to-day basis, it's Jørgen, Fabio and Vinay who runs the business, and we take care of that.
And just generally, I mean, obviously the idea is that this is a long project, keep everyone time. Is there a danger, though, that the club, from the outside, there's a perception that maybe starting to accept mediocrity? This sort of 14th in the squad, the way the situation is, that actually, after a while, everyone just kind of gets used to the results really plateau. Is that a possibility?
I think that's impossible in Tottenham. I think personally didn't come to this club just to finish 14th or 10th or 8th or 6th or 4th, 3rd or 2nd. We want to build something that can be very successful all the time. I'm very aware where we are right now at the moment. I think it's fair to say that not many are.
I mean, you've mentioned before a lot of factors, but I mean, if the team did finish, let's say, in the bottom half, would that be something you would say, well, that's kind of part of the process, and it's still early days? In your mind, I'm not expecting you to kind of say we need to finish here, but do you think the bottom half is kind of acceptable?
I will never commit to a position if it was bottom half or first. I will always look at the next game and know where we want to go, and then we need to be judged in the end of the season.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, guys.
Talk about Greenland next week.
Yeah, thank you. That'd be good. Yeah, thank you, guys. Thank you. See you.
Now, the Spurs women are back in WSL action on Sunday afternoon. They face Leicester City women at Brisbane Road, 12 noon kickoff. At the halfway point of this WSL campaign, Spurs are sitting in 5th in the table with 20 points, only 2 points from the top 3, the Champions League spots, currently occupied by North London rivals Arsenal. Leicester are sitting in 9th in the table, and they have won only 2 games in the opening 11 matches. Now, I spoke to Martin Ho, the Spurs women boss, earlier in the press conference, asking him what kind of game he's expecting. I also asked him about what he'd learnt about the first half of the season and what he'd learnt about his players and himself. And I also said about the 3-week break, and they are having a fantastic transfer window so far. They have signed 4 players in this January transfer window so far. They are showing real ambition, and Martin Ho earlier on in the press conference admitted that they are still in the market for more players. This is what he had to say.
Hi Martin, happy New Year to you.
You too.
Of course on Sunday you face Leicester. What have you made of Leicester so far this season? And you go into this game in a really good league position, only 2 points away from the top 3, and of course Leicester have only won 2 games. What sort of game are you expecting?
Yeah, a tough one. I think since Rick's gone in there, Rick's done an outstanding job, and they're well organised. They're very aggressive in terms of defensively. They step on, they press high, and then with the ball they're very fluid. They're very dynamic going forward with their movement, so we know they're going to be a threat. And I have a lot of respect for them as a team. And I think before the season, everyone was probably, in a way, writing Leicester off in terms of before the season started. But I'm glad to see that they've proved a lot of people wrong, and Rick's done the same with how he's come in and implemented what he wants. So, you know it's going to be a tough game, and I don't think there's any game now, Chris, that you go into where you think it's a kind of a gimme and you're going to come out with a result. You've got to earn it. We've got to show respect, more importantly, to the opponent. And if we do that and then perform to the levels I know we can and more, then I believe we can get the outcome we want.
It was certainly a very impressive first half of the season. What did you learn most about your players, and also what did you learn about you as a manager?
It's a good question. That management's stressful, I'll tell you that. No, I think about myself in terms of how to deal with a bigger club, bigger infrastructure, learning more about myself as a manager, on how I do things as a coach, how I do things off the pitch, on the pitch, how you manage time, how you build relationships with players and staff, how you get the best out of your staff, and then how you try and build a consistency within performance and training methodology to make sure that we can perform on a weekend. And then seeing a fan base grow from home and away games has been nice, and I want to make sure that I continue to do that from my perspective, but I want to make sure our performances allow the fans to keep coming back. And then from a player perspective, they've shown abundance as a quality in terms of in large moments. They've faced adversity now just before Christmas when we had some injuries from the international break, and the players have showed a consistency and a willingness to perform at a high level in two big games. And I think they've proved a lot of people wrong, and we proved a lot of people wrong as a collective, as staff and players. And I think now going into the second part of the season, we need to make sure that we build on what we've done in the first part of the season and not kind of settle on it, and make sure that we put ourselves in a good position going into this end part of the season, going into May and June.
When you have this 3-week break, is it a good thing to have a bit of a regroup, or is it you just want to keep playing?
Yeah, you don't want it. We had some momentum, yes, you might not got the results you wanted in those games, but I felt the performances were good over large parts, and it was big steps for us as a team. And coming away from that, you just want to keep building on top of that. But you also know the players are human and they're not robots, and you have to give them a time to mentally reset as well as physically. And I think it come at the right time for us as a team. It's enabled players to start getting back closer to the pitch, the ones who've been injured. So now we're just more looking forward to putting ourselves in a position going into Leicester where we can push on now.
Lastly from me, the transfer window has been excellent for you so far. The club is certainly backing you. Getting deals done early, a good mixture of young talent and experienced players, as you mentioned earlier. Who is the driving force behind the transfers? Who do you owe that thanks to of them backing you?
Yeah, the people around me in terms of the club, the ownership of the club, Vinay, Andy, Rebecca, the Lewis family, as I said, they've been outstanding in providing me with the opportunity to bring these players in. We identify them and then we try and see if it works. There's obviously a lot of pieces to put together within the puzzle to allow that to happen. But yeah, I couldn't have asked any more. The club have given me everything we've asked for and what we needed within the squad to make the squad depth a little bit bigger. And I can't be any more thankful. They've done everything they can, and yeah, we've enabled ourselves to get over the line with some good signings. Cheers, Chris. Thank you.
Now, my thoughts on everything in this episode, and I'm going to keep this very short and brief. I agree with everything that was in the official supporters trust statement. Absolutely everything in there. There does seem to be a dramatic fall in ambition. Of course, Thomas Frank has spoken out about the league position. I think the answer should always be that Spurs need to be in those top European spots, if not competing to be one of the very best in the Premier League, and that is always where Spurs should be. The stadium, when we moved in there in 2019, was meant to be a game changer. We were meant to see real differences. We were meant to see quality players coming in, Spurs showing real intent, ambition on the pitch, and Spurs being successful year in, year out in the Premier League, in the Champions League, in the very top competitions. Will Spurs be in the Champions League next season? I very much doubt it. Will Spurs be in a European spot next season and play in any form of European competition next season? Let's wait and see. We're currently 6 points away from the top 5, and we are 6 points above 17th where we finished last season. What will happen in this second part of the season. But, all of those points that the Trust pointed out, and, fair play to them for actually addressing this with the board. What I would say is that they have a lot of say. People like you and I, we don't meet the board at all. We don't speak to board members. We don't tell them how we feel. We might write it on social media or put it on channels like this. But they actually get to speak to them face to face about all of these issues. The Supporters Trust and the Fan Advisory Board, these organisations, these two groups should be putting the pressure on the board and saying, look, why are you not delivering for us, and why are you not communicating when things are poor? Richarlison pointed that out. Communication only ever comes when Spurs are doing well, and I do agree with that. I really do agree with that. And, we should get the communication at all times, whether things are good or bad. And, no matter what league position we're in, we should get that regular communication from the hierarchy. And, we were led to believe at the start of the season that the ambition would change on the pitch. I certainly hope, I do live in hope that will happen in the summer. At the moment, we're not seeing that. Thomas Frank, I do agree. I've been frustrated with a lot of comments from him. And I do have this feeling that he has just been given a free pass this season to say, look, we finished 17th last season. He won't commit to a league position to say what is good or not. And, we should be aiming high. We should be aiming high. We should always have the best players. We should always be going for the top targets rather than targets 5 and 6. It's frustrating. It really is frustrating. And I tell you what, whoever you speak to at the moment, nobody seems very happy. The manager doesn't seem very happy. He's actually come out and said that. He's not enjoying the job at the moment. The players look really unhappy. The players are, arguing with the fans. The fans are unhappy. The fans are arguing amongst themselves about, certain decisions that have been made or not made, or signings that have been made or not made. Whatever it is, the fans are arguing amongst themselves, and there seems to be a lot of disconnect and discontent, from everybody at the moment. And I just hope that in the very, very near future, there is this togetherness again, and we all feel, great again. Because I tell you what, and I always go back to this. In May in Bilbao, a couple of days later as well, that parade, everyone was together, everyone enjoyed that moment. It was a wonderful moment. It really was. You can say what you like about last season, 22 league defeats, etc., etc. But to win that Europa League and have that parade down the high road, if you were there, if you watched it on the TV, it was incredible. Absolutely amazing. And I tell you what, I want to feel like that again and again and again. And surely, the club would have really enjoyed that moment, like us. And they probably, would have thought, we need to be like this all the time. We need moments like this all the time, not just, once in 17 years. So let's wait and see what happens in this January transfer window. Souza is apparently coming through the door on Sunday, having his medical, 19-year-old Brazilian left-back. Let's hope that we do see a lot more in this January transfer window to help Thomas Frank climb up that Premier League table, hopefully go far in the FA Cup. We haven't won that since 1991, which is an absolute disgrace, really, when you think of how long it has been since winning the FA Cup, and we won it for a record 8th time in 91. And of course, we've still got to compete in the Champions League. Got 2 group stage games left, one at home against Dortmund and the other one away at Frankfurt. So, there is still a lot to play for this season. And, me trying to be positive here, this season could still be a positive one. And, it just depends what we do next. It depends. A couple of really good key impact additions in this transfer window could make a real difference. It really could. Now, Richarlison was clearly upset to see the rumours about him leaving Tottenham in the summer. He said, "Who said that? F off." Well, it was actually ESPN in Brazil who actually put that story out. So let's wait and see what happens there, whether he will be a Tottenham Hotspur player next year or indeed he will leave. What was he upset about? The fact that the rumours are circulating that he is leaving and he didn't want anyone to know? Or is it the fact that he is Tottenham through and through, and he wants to prove his point yet again in the Premier League? He wants to remain in the Premier League and play for Spurs next season. Let's wait and see in the summer to see what happens there. Now, the Romero one, I'm not at all surprised at all. Van de Ven about being unhappy. We need to keep hold of our top players in this team, Romero being one of them, Van de Ven another. But of course, this goes back to what the trust said about ambition. If the club isn't showing ambition, then there's absolutely no doubt about it that Romero and Van de Ven will probably be the first players to be knocking on that door and saying, look, I want out because, we want to win trophies, we want to be successful, and it clearly isn't happening here. It's sad, it really is. Martin Ho, the Spurs Women boss, I tell you what, I absolutely love talking to him. A top manager. He has transformed the Spurs Women, and I tell you what, they are showing real ambition in the transfer window. They've signed 4 top players so far, and he said in the press conference also that they are, still in the market. They still want to do more business, and they are sitting in 5th in the WSL table right now. And who knows? Spurs Women could be playing Champions League football for the very first time in their history next season. But this second half of the season, as Martin Ho said in the presser there, it has to be the same again of what they've done in the first half. So far, so good for them. Thanks for watching and thanks for listening. I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching on YouTube, please do hit that subscribe button, like, share and comment below. And if you listen to this on an audio platform, please do hit the follow button and leave a review if you can. Have a great weekend, keep smiling and come on you Spurs.